them at the top of the hour. Have them have the long, you're watching OTB TV, the long one, just in case something happens.
Is this clock accurate?
Yeah. Just have them stand by with the
Looks like it.
Every now and then the batteries start to go on that, and you're looking at the clock and you're realizing that it's like moving significantly slower. I'm ready. How are you, Brian?
Ready? Gene looks good, Brian.
And here's my single shot.
Yep, that's your single.
So,
And the tally lights do work.
when do you want us launching down this Smacky at 58?
I got 59 on the cell phone right now.
Launch at the top. Launch at the top.
I got 58 on, or 59 on the cell phone.
Who's just talking in my ear right now, Brian?
What you heard there, you heard conversation between Brian and Dan Hayes, who's down in Schenectady putting it up.
And if they talk about you doing a lousy job or something, just keep going.
Right.
They do it to everybody.
Oh, I've been here and heard some pretty interesting stuff going by here.
By the way, it's a lovely bra you have on.
Thank you, Agador. Next time, bring your palm frond.
No, I'm the pool boy.
I need
I'm not
I want a
I'm not the
cabana boy.
I'm the pool boy.
I need a cabana boy.
I'm Agador Spartacus. I clean the pool listening to Gloria Estefan.
I told you the joke that Anthony thinks that's so funny.
10.
Going in the open.
That's a funny sound.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to Capital OTB's The Inside Track, live from Saratoga Springs on the backstretch at Saratoga Racecourse. We want to introduce you to our newest program here on the network, a program that's going to bring you behind the scenes with guest interviews about a lot of the things going on behind the scenes every day here and what goes on to make this terrific meet here at Saratoga work and make it such a success. As we begin the program, we want to introduce the newest member of our Capital OTB team. Welcome to the team, Robert Lee. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Gene. It's like Christmas Eve here, and I'm glad to be here.
It's great. It's so nice to have you here. We had a chance to have you on Sunday to introduce yourself to many of our viewers. But take a little bit of time and introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background, if you would.
Well, I grew up in Cincinnati. One of my first memories is actually going to River Downs back in Cincinnati with my parents. I mentioned this on Sunday, but if Saratoga is one end of the racing spectrum, River Downs is at the other end. It's a kind of a seedier place, but it's a great place to learn the game. And I remember my mom told me she remembers me picking out numbers when I was 3 years old and screaming my face off as the horses came down the stretch. Went to school at Syracuse, bounced around the country for a while, and then moved here to Albany in 2000, and have been coming to the track and working as the broadcaster for the Siena basketball team ever since, and certainly love it up here at the spa and excited to be here.
So a great background in broadcasting and, of course, a great background in horse racing. Starting out at River Downs, of course, I'm blessed being a local from the Capital District area, having started my racing fandom, if you will, right here at Saratoga. But
yeah, you see some things at River Downs that you don't see here. I mean, it's not the highest quality racing. Yeah.
But we're really happy to have you on board, and this program, we want to give everybody an opportunity to know what's going to be going on. We're going to have a couple of guest interviews every day, and we're going to have all kinds of behind-the-scenes look at what's going on at Saratoga.
Absolutely. We were scheduled to have Angel Cordero Jr. on today, the king of Saratoga. He kind of had some family issues going on, so he won't be on until Monday, and we apologize that we did put that out for you. But he'll be on Monday on this same show from 10 to 11. This show will be on Monday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We do have three great guests today. Jeff Canizzo, the executive director of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders. He'll be our first guest of the day. And then we'll have Jack Knowlton. That name may sound familiar to some of the fans out there. He was the owner and managing partner of the Saratoga Stables, who campaigned Funny Side to a Kentucky Derby victory. And then then we'll finish up with Matt Musiker, who's a Saratoga Springs native. He's also now the jockey agent for Javier Castellano and Rosie Napravnik.
So he's going to have a very busy year up here at Saratoga, and we're going to hopefully be able to bring a lot more behind-the-scenes interest to our viewers during the course of the meeting. And part of that will be some of what you're going to be doing in the afternoon.
Exactly. Twitter is taking over the world right now. I've just gotten onto Twitter, but if you follow us at Capital OTB, I'll actually be in the paddock tweeting updates. This horse looks good. This horse doesn't look good. Jean Wood likes the 4 in this race. She looks good. The 4 as well as Jean, but it's
by the 4th race. It depends on how hot or how rainy it might be. But hopefully it'll be good.
But if you follow us on Twitter at Capital OTB, we'll have all the latest updates, and you can also follow us at Facebook, Capital Off Track Betting, for some of the updates throughout the day there as well.
Yeah, and we've really got a lot of presence now on social media. We're going to have you're going to be doing the Twitter side. We've got terrific options on Facebook. All of our viewers might want to log on and become friends with Capital OTB. We'll have updates on a lot of things going on. We're going to try to post our guest lists here on this program, the Inside Track, broadcast every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And of course, the Handicappers Report is going to follow this program every weekday race day from right here trackside.
Yeah, that's from 11 to 11:45. The Handicappers Report each day, and you can always get all the Handicappers Reports at our website as well, capitalotb.com.
And we've got a lot of information there, not just on Saratoga, but covering a lot of other great racing throughout the country. Del Mar opened yesterday, and we'll have Del Mar selections up there. And, of course, Dick Powell, who's going to be here on the weekends from trackside, is, of course, doing Vernon Downs, and his work from Vernon has been very, very good as well. So we'll have a lot of great information coming up here on the network if you follow along throughout the course of the entire race meet. And Robert, I'd like to thank you for joining me this morning and for coming on board. I'm really looking forward to a great meet up here with you. Looking forward to it. 40 Great Days starts up tomorrow. It all starts tomorrow. We'll pause for a brief message, and when we return, we are going to be joined by Joe of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Please stay with us.
What would another ShopRite mean for you?
It means more chef-prepared meals to take home and call my own.
Another place to get help with healthy eating.
And another place to get fresh fish.
Another ShopRite in the Capital District, 709 Central Avenue. Another ShopRite. That means more chef-prepared meals, another dietitian, and more fresh produce. Get more choices and even more savings with ShopRite's growing family.
We're all about food. We're all about savings. We're all about you.
Poker is like a war. It's a battle of wits. It's strategy and preparation. Winning is about understanding yourself before the other guy does. Knowledge and skill wins, not luck. For now, put your money aside and challenge your wits. Challenge your skill. Free Poker Network, every Tuesday evening at the Clubhouse Racebook. Welcome to the game.
Leah Auto Group, going miles above the rest. Hondas, Toyotas, Hyundais, Nissans, Infinitis, and a large selection of pre-owned vehicles. Over 5,000 to choose from. With over 30 years in the business, Leah's got your automotive needs covered. Shop hassle-free environments in our state-of-the-art facilities and take advantage of low lease payments, 0 down leases, and financing as low as 0.9%. Open 7 days a week for your convenience and online all the time at leahcars.com.
Leah!
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on live horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, free past performances, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, it's surcharge-free. CapitalOTB.com, the better choice.
Welcome back to Capital OTB's The Inside Track. I'm Jean Wood, and we are joined now by this morning's first special guest. Welcome to the program, Jeff Canizzo, the Executive Director of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Good morning, Jeff. It's good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you. A lot of great things going on in the world of New York Breds. Tell us a little bit about the organization and some of its goals.
Sure. So NYTB, the New York Thoroughbred Breeders Association, represents all the people that essentially breed horses here in the state of New York. We have roughly around 1,000 members. We serve two purposes. We're an advocacy organization and a promotional arm to encourage people to breed here in the state of New York.
And there are a lot of reasons right now to breed in the state of New York. Tell us a little bit about them.
There's a couple. New York is essentially going through a revitalization, and it's almost a renaissance for the breeding industry here in the state. And primarily that's due to what's going on down at Aqueduct with Resorts World Casino. It's creating an environment where owning and breeding a New York bred has become very lucrative, and it's giving the opportunity for people to actually make a profit or stay in this business much longer than they usually would. So people are interested in owning and breeding horses again here in New York, and it's a huge economic engine for the state. So it's a lot of good things happening right now.
Jeff, it took so long for the slots to come into play. They were passed back in 2001. They finally started spinning last year. I mean, some of these purses, I mean, do your eyes bulge out of your head when you see New York bred races, maiden races going for $65,000?
It's a great thing. It's absolutely a great thing. And a lot of people, tend to forget or don't realize is that this is a business. And the people that are earning those purses and the awards that come out of the system, they're invested. They're heavily invested in this. They employ, they provide services, they purchase hay, grain, feed. Farriers, the veterinary community, everybody is a part of what comes out of this purse structure. So it's a very big thing here, and it's great. It's absolutely great.
I think there was a time, maybe last decade, where everybody wanted their horses to breed because there was no money to be made in the actual racing, and you're certainly on the breeding side, and that's something you're very closely connected with. But now, the first race on Friday, tomorrow, is worth $90,000 as an allowance race.
It's amazing. I opened the past performances on Wednesday, and I first race $90,000 allowance, and I've never seen that.
It's hard to beat that.
And I don't think anybody's ever seen that. And the reality is that Saratoga is absolutely hands down the place to be this summer. We're going to have the greatest race meet, and it's all driven based on that purse structure again. The conditions, the horses, the trainers, the owners, the breeding community. We're really going to set many different records this summer, and that even piggybacks into what's going to happen at the sales grounds across the street, facing Tipton. Even the New York bred sale is up 20% in terms of horses that are cataloged in it. There's a lot of excitement here locally.
And we've had last couple of years some very nice New York breds sell at the open sale, at the big sale. But I would imagine, and I imagine that there will be still more with a big influx of some very high quality stallions, and of course the rules that allow New York breeders to breed to stallions that are not currently standing in the state of New York.
Right. And New York's program is unique, and we've talked about this in past on OTB TV. It's an open breeding essentially, where you can breed out of state to a different stallion and come out and drop a foal here, and you can breed to a New York stallion. So breeders have options is the point, which makes it very interesting for people around the country. And again, it's a jobs program that brings people back. Touch on something else that's really important for New York breds and relevant to racing and what we're talking about with the cards that we're going to see is, what makes a New York bred valuable is the conditions that are available to him at the racetrack. That goes for anywhere here in New York State. But they can run in restricted company, which gives them additional opportunities and purse money that's available to them that's not necessarily available to a horse that was bred somewhere else. So they can come into restricted company, go out of restricted into open company, and it makes their earning potential much greater than a normal horse.
Jeff, have you seen a tangible effect on the quality of horses that are being bred in New York State? Is it more of a gradual process, or have you seen, hey, these are some big-name sires that are foaling horses or siring horses in our state?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look, anybody should go take a look at the New York bred sales catalog that's out at Fasig-Tipton. 70% of actually those horses in that catalog are sired through Kentucky sire lines. And, the other 30% are New York sired. And those pedigrees carry themselves, very well over, a period of time. So this has happened, year and year in terms of quality and progression. And you need to look no further than the racetrack. I mean, you look at the graded wins that New York breds have had in the last few months. I mean, it's remarkable. And the program's come a long, long way since the days of Sunnyside. So it's good stuff, and it's going to continue to get better, I can promise you that.
I remember when I first started following the racing at Saratoga, and when they had the little pocket programs, and you had the little circle with the NY in there, and you'd look at the pedigrees, and they never really jumped off the page. But now it's a very different ball game. And I think it's via a lot of hard work, and obviously the slot money finally coming through after a long process. Tell us of major stallions that are currently in New York, or maybe possibly planning on coming.
There's been a lot of talk. This typically people that are in the stallion business are making these decisions. Actually during the course of this meet in the summer. The stallions that came here this year. Particularly from out of state or newer stallions, really started to happen last summer. So you have people that own stallions or own syndicates are looking to sell shares of the stallions. They're setting it up now for next year. So I think that we'll see come during the meet, maybe the end of the meet, some new announcements for next year's stallion roster. This year we had a handful of new stallions that came in, even from the likes of Darley for the first time ever stood a stallion at Sequel Stallions called Girolamo, who won here at Saratoga. And it was the first time an operation like Darley ever stood a stallion outside of Kentucky. So that's a big, big time story. And those types of things are going to carry forward as the program continues.
I imagine we will see a lot more of those kinds of stallions here.
Jeff, with the slots money coming in and the increased purses, everything looks better, but certainly there are still some issues and concerns you have. What are some of those?
Well, I mean, I think that, again, owners and breeders in this industry, that people like certainty. And they like to, the industry isn't based on a decision that's made today for tomorrow. The breeding industry is a 3-year cycle. So you have people that are breeding based on what's going to happen in the next few years. Given what's happened in Canada and other states surrounding us, there is a level of uncertainty of what the future holds. So there's a protection and work that needs to be done going forward to ensure that New York's industry survives and moves forward as been, promised and what we're working towards. So we're hoping to continue to voice how important breeding industry here is for the state.
And if people are interested in finding out more, maybe they're interested in maybe investing in a mare or two, or possibly looking at some of the claiming ranks, thinking, well, this is a mare that I might be able to purchase and race a little bit and maybe breed next year here in New York. How can they get more information?
Sure, you can visit us online at nytbreeders.org or nybreds.com. Find all about the rules, the conditions, and what's available to you for owning and breeding a New York bred. Come over to the sales grounds on August 11th and 12th for the New York bred sale. I think you could pick up a nice little horse for yourself. And
the 11th is my birthday. If anybody out there is planning on, picking up a mare, maybe get a second one, and I can keep her here in New York and breed.
There you go. It's never been a better time to get invested in the sport. And here in New York, we're going to see great things happen this summer.
Jeff, we've got a few more minutes with you here. Where do you envision the ceiling of New York as a breeding state? Can you ever compete with Kentucky, or are you going to be running up against states like Florida and California, perhaps?
That's the the $1 billion question. Is we talk about regional breeding programs, and historically New York is a regional breeding program, and the likes of comparing it to Kentucky. The breeding industry is based on mare population. And stallions will only come to a place where they can actually cover mares in terms of quantity and quality. So as our mare population grows here in the state of New York, the stallion business will follow suit with that. So we're looking to attract more mares here in New York in terms of quality as well. And the commercial market for selling a New York bred, again, is all based on the purse structure, which we're set up to be successful. I think that New York absolutely in key to getting somewhere great. You know, we're going to compete with Kentucky. It depends on what transition happens.
Our next guest, Jack Knowlton, who campaigned Funnyside, probably the most famous New York bred of all time. What has some of the success of a horse like a Funnyside or a commentator done for the New York bred program that's really vaulted the visibility of the New York bred?
Funnyside was, you know, no question about it, the largest marketing strategy that we had, and you know,
closed down the marketing department that year and just put the money in the budget for next year.
That's right. You didn't need anything else. Just let them run. And you know, it was based on television. You know, people saw, hey, this was a New York bred, and hey, he had all these conditions available to him, and they just basically dropped the foal in the state, and it made him valuable. And you know, he did a ton for marketing what it was to be a New York bred. Same with commentator, you know, and he did it here in Saratoga year after year. So we'd love to, and we've had, you know, other horses since then, by all means, every year that are graded winners. It'd be great to have another classic horse. You know, we went to Daywell that were in fourth, of course, who's now hurt, but every year there's another New York bred, and we hope to have another great champion.
There were three New York breds in the Preakness Stakes. I had the chance to talk about the Preakness over at the Parting Glass a couple of days before, and realized as I was glancing through the past performances, well, there's a bunch of New York breds here, and of course the Parting Glass, which is a sponsor of a number of our programs here, they deal with a lot of New York breds. They're New York breeders and so forth. So it was nice to kind of tie it in there. And actually, one of their horses had beaten, I believe it was one of their horses had beaten Zetterholm in a New York allowance race earlier in the year. So they were a little bit excited about that. But that's obviously a terrific boost to the program.
It is, and you know, I challenge people. You know, just look at a card on every day. You're going to see a standout New York bred. You know, the fact that they have an NY attached next to their name in the program really doesn't mean anything other than the fact that they were bred here.
Just that they were foaled here. Well, we've got just a couple more minutes. I do want to give you the opportunity to remind our viewers one more time, Jeff, the address, the URL where they can log on to the internet and find as much information as they need about
Sure. Please check out nytbreeders.org or nybreds.com for any New York bred related materials, and we hope to get everyone involved in the program.
We certainly hope we can help you expand the program, because it's certainly been very good to us, and we certainly are looking forward to more great New York breds coming up through the line.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Jeff Canizzo, who is the Executive Director of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Terrific information on their website at nytbreeders.org. So check it out as soon as you can. We are going to pause for a brief message, and speaking of New York breds, we'll be joined by Jack Knowlton following this break. Please stay with us.
Some people take analyzing a horse race to a whole other level. Tune in every morning at 11 a.m. and get up-to-the-minute analysis of the day's biggest races, breaking news from the racing industry, and our daily best bets, only on OTB TV. No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on live horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, free past performances, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, it's surcharge-free. CapitalOTB.com, the better choice.
Listen to what people are saying about the Clubhouse Racebook.
It's really nice. It's really modern, open, bright, and there's definitely a lot more machines where you can make your wagers. And I like the fact that it's open. Anywhere I look, I can see football if I want to, or any of the tracks. Then I can also see the people that I've seen for many years. You feel comfortable. The staff is great. It makes you feel comfortable. It's a nice place to spend an afternoon on the weekend.
And they're off. With more than 70 convenient locations, internet wagering at CapitalOTB.com, and live operators ready to take your call, Capital OTB is the better choice for wagering on thoroughbred and harness racing. Stop by one of our locations to bet in person, or open a Capital Bets account and place your bets over the phone, or at CapitalOTB.com. Whether you're on the road or in the comfort of your own home, Capital OTB is the better choice. Some people take analyzing a horse race to a whole other level. Tune in every morning at 11 a.m. and get up-to-the-minute analysis of the day's biggest races, breaking news from the racing industry, and our daily best bets, only on OTB TV.
Thing 1, 2.
Got him.
Welcome back to Capital OTB's Inside Track. I'm Jean Wood, and we are joined now by this morning's second very special guest. Welcome to the program, Mr. Jack Knowlton. Good morning, Jack.
Good
How
morning.
are you? Welcome
It's
back.
Good to be here. Thank you.
You obviously brought the good weather with you, and we certainly appreciate it.
Well, as you said, a Chamber of Commerce morning, and if we could get 40 of these for the race meet, it would be stupendous.
It certainly would. Nice cool breeze up here this morning as opposed to the stifling heat. You've got a lot going on. Of course, this is, we're kind of having a nice New York bred morning as you, I think it's fair to say, put the New York Breds on the map, as it were, about not quite 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
9 years ago now.
With Funny Side. Well, it was 10 years ago that I saw him as a 2-year-old down in Belmont, so that's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely.
But you've got a lot of things going on, and you're involved with a new venture that's coming up this September here at Saratoga.
Yeah, it's a new event for Saratoga, and I think it's very exciting. It's a Steeplechase Festival on September 15th, and I got involved back in the 80s. My son went to school at the University of South Carolina, and for about a dozen years we'd go to the steeplechase events both spring and fall in Camden, and it was just a great time. And when I heard that there was a kind of a grassroots effort to start this at Saratoga, I said, count me in, I'd like to be involved, and it is moving very, very rapidly forward. It's a true community effort. We've got the National Steeplechase Association involved. NYRA has been just fabulous. They're making this wonderful facility available. We've got the Convention and Tourism Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, just a lot of different organizations that are getting behind us. So I think it's going to be exciting, and it's going to offer opportunities that most people have never seen before, and that is to watch races from the infield. There are going to be a number of tents in the infield. A lot of organizations already have committed to doing tents. I think there are 14 that are going to be there so far, and a number of other organizations have indicated interest. So that is one of the things. At 9 o'clock in the morning, a 1 1/8 mile walk around the racetrack, which is something that I don't think any of us have done. I know I haven't done
I've walked across it a couple of times, but I've never done the circuit.
That's right. So I think that's going to be fun. They're going to have a carriage parade for 3 days in Saratoga that are going to be part of this event. There's going to be a soiree at the Museum of Racing Friday evening on the 14th. And the two charities that are going to benefit from the fundraising of this are going to be the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation and Saratoga Bridges. Saratoga Bridges is going to be running a vendor village, and I think they've had interest from like 80 different vendors so far. We're going to have, I think, a real treat that I've seen only by video, but great horsemanship by a fellow from Australia, Dan, and that's going to be a treat. I think he's going to do 3 shows there. We're going to have a barbecue area. We're going to have PJs doing their wonderful chicken, and 7 Horse Pub, who recently won the award for the Saratoga Barbecue July 4th. They're going to be doing sandwiches. So all in all, I think it's going to be a great day. There'll be 4 steeplechase races with purses totaling $100,000, a $50,000 race, $25,000, $10,000, and $5,000. So that is going to be a treat, and then one flat race.
It sounds like a terrific and really enjoyable way for people to come up and kind of stretch that enjoyment of Saratoga a little bit into the autumn.
Well, that's what it is. I think it's potentially a great event for the town. The weekend after you have the SPAC Food and Wine Festival, so that brings a lot of people into town, and it certainly, I think, will work well for Saratoga, but the timing is also great for the Steeplechase Association because they have kind of a gap and they didn't, have really a race meet to get them going into the fall. So this is going to give them an opportunity. Probably some of the horses that we see racing in the steeplechase here at Saratoga will participate, and then a lot of others getting ready for their fall meet.
Jack, you're the managing partner of Saratoga Stables, best known, I think, pretty clearly as the owners of Funny Side, the 2003 Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner. Tell the folks out there, what's he up to now?
Well, he lives a life of luxury. He is at Kentucky Horse Park, just outside Lexington. Probably the best retirement home for a horse in America. His stable mates include Cigar and the Haas, the Haas of Breeders' Cup fame, and it's just a wonderful setting. The Hall of Champions, they have 2 shows every day. He comes out, they show a little video, and the fans get to meet him, get pictures taken with him, and feed him a peppermint or 2. And that's the biggest problem is he gets a little bit too hefty, and we have to put a muzzle on him when they set him out at night so he doesn't eat too much of that bluegrass, but he's figured out how to get the muzzle off, so that doesn't always work. But he's doing great. I see him every year when I go down to the Derby, and when they've had the Breeders' Cup down there, as they have the last couple of years, get to see him twice. And if all goes well, hopefully we get him back for his 10th anniversary back up to Saratoga like we did a couple years ago next year.
Now, he won the Derby 9 years ago, so it's been almost 10 years now. Next year will be the 10-year anniversary. As the time has passed, have you gotten a greater appreciation of just what he and your partners accomplished?
Well, I think so. People still stop me that I don't know who they are, and they just want to talk about Funny Side. Where is he? How he's doing? I was at the race. I made this bet, and this and that. There are new stories that come out all the time. People just really were captivated by not only the horse, I think, but our partnership, the story, all of that. And, fortunately, he had a long and successful career. I was out at Finger Lakes last Saturday. They had a 50-year celebration. They'd had a 50-foot mural done in the clubhouse. And, of course, Funny Side was one of the features on that. And they brought together, jockeys and trainers and employees from, the 50 years of Finger Lakes. And I think I was the only owner. I mean, and they were just so appreciative. And there are a number of people that I talked to that just felt so good about the fact that we brought him out there. One of the trainers said, it had been, a little bit contentious because the horsemen had to agree to boost the purse, from 50 to 100,000, and that was one of the requests that we made. And there was some debate about that. And he said, look, everything that we're doing out here really isn't working. The worst thing that can happen is that this isn't going to work. Well, they had the most people they ever had at that track since opening day, and that's a 50-year history. So that's the kind of star power he had. We didn't expect that was going to be the last race, but it ended up being. But he went out a champion, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely, and I think it's fair to say, and Jeff Canizzo mentioned it. He really put the New York breds on the map on a national level, and of course, there had been some very nice New York breds prior, and have been more since. But he was really a terrific story, in large part, I think, because of the partnership, Jack, and because just your gang of friends that kind of got involved, and I think it motivated a lot of people to say, well, why don't we try something like that? And obviously partnerships have been had been around before, but I think they've kind of expanded. I think a lot of the partnerships took off on your success and said, hey, maybe we can help you get there. Now tell us a little bit about what's going on with Saratoga Stable right now.
Well, Saratoga currently has 3 partnerships. We have probably our best horse since Funny Side. Kind of frustrating. Has had a lot of soundness issues, but if you remember, 3 years ago, was a horse named Seattle Mission. In his maiden race, beat a horse named Drosselmeyer. And we all know what Drosselmeyer is. Not only does he win the Belmont, but he wins the Breeders' Cup Classic. So, after that race, we were ready to go into a stake, and that was a mile and a 16th turf race. And he came up with some shin issues and went on the shelf. Then he had issues again. We had to do some surgery. Last year, he ran up here. I think he ran third. Went back to Belmont, won, and then we had to go and have some stem cell procedures done on his front tendon. So he might possibly make it up here to train. I don't think he'll race here this year, but we're still hopeful. He's only run 11 times. He's won over $100,000. So I mean, he's a good horse. He's just had some bad luck, and that happens in this game. We also have two 2-year-olds, one of which I think is pretty certain to run. She was out on the track this morning, scheduled to work again on Saturday. She's already got a gate card, so that's exciting whenever you got a 2-year-old going.
I think it was Woody Stevens once said, nobody ever quits this game with a 2-year-old in the barn.
That's right. Another 2-year-old that probably won't make Saratoga but should make Belmont. And then 2 4-year-olds, one that broke a maiden at Belmont in the New York Breds maiden special weight race. Those wonderful $60,000 purses that we have these days. And then an allowance horse that will run on the turf, not winners of one other day. So we've got 5 horses altogether, 3 syndicates, and all told, we've probably got between 80 and 100 people involved in racing, and that to us is it's a whole different thing. We had the 10 of us with Funny Side, but doing the partnership is fun. I've made friends all over the country. We've got people from Texas and Iowa, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and all places in between. So it's a great thing, and I think it is the future of racing.
You talked about those purses, and we talked about that with Jeff Canizzo before you, but as an owner, what do these purses mean to you to keep your horses running in New York and run New York Breds?
Well, as you know, I've been a proponent of New York Breds from day one. I think of all the horses that we've owned, there's only been one non-New York bred in the group. And a major reason for that is that you get a good New York bred and you've got so many racing opportunities. You've got your conditions, then you can go out of those conditions and run an open company, and then you've got all of the stakes races restricted to New York breds, and for some of our horses, Stallion Series. I mean, the only stakes race we ever won at Saratoga it was 4 or 5 years ago. A horse named Dock and Roll won a $150,000 Stallion Series race up here. So it gives you a chance to have success, and quite honestly, most of the people we have in our partnership, Saratoga is the deal. They want to come to Saratoga, they want to see their horse race at Saratoga, hopefully win at Saratoga, and with New York breds, you've got the opportunity. Now, with the higher purses, it makes it much more attractive to get people to come in and say, look, you're going to, put your initial capital investment in, $10,000, $5,000. Hopefully, with these enhanced purses, we're going to have at least a chance to break even, and we're not going to have to come back to you for money for the operation. And I think, when we won a race, a few weeks ago, that $36,000 purse goes a long way, but it's expensive. When you're on a New York and Florida circuit, as we are, you're typically going to spend about $60,000 a year to keep a horse, and it's a lot of money.
That's obviously a big investment. Those big purses, though, most certainly do help, and obviously a lot going on out here at the backstretch. It's certainly nice as well. And I know, Jack, I see you almost every single morning out here, often with I'm guessing partners or possibly potential partners, showing them around, and having this lovely setting up here certainly doesn't hurt to be able to say, oh, meet me at the backstretch gate at Saratoga, and we'll see what we can talk about. But we certainly do appreciate you taking the time to come on board. A website for the Saratoga Steeplechase Festival.
Steeplechase Festival at Saratoga.org.
Steeplechase Festival at Saratoga.org. Get all the details. It should be a lot of fun. Capital OTB is going to be involved as a sponsor, and Jack, we thank you for joining us and telling us the information about it.
Great to be here, and have a great meet. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
We will have more of Capital OTB's Inside Track coming up after this message.
Listen to what people are saying about the Clubhouse Racebook.
We're just delighted here with the new teletheater. We've been very big sponsors of OTV for the last 2 or 3 years with our program, and we just think this is the best new facility nationwide. I mean, the sky's the limit now for New York. We're supporting you all the way, and we're just happy. Come up, watch the races. I think everybody in the Capital District is cheating themselves if they don't come up and see the facilities.
What would another ShopRite mean for you?
It means more chef-prepared meals to take home and call my own.
Another place to get help with healthy eating.
And another place to get fresh fish.
Another ShopRite in the Capital District, 709 Central Avenue. Another ShopRite. That means more chef-prepared meals, another dietitian, and more fresh produce. Get more choices and even more savings with ShopRite's growing family.
We're all about food. We're all about savings. We're all about you.
Leah Auto Group, going miles above the rest. When your car needs service, Leah has you covered. We offer daily service specials, including our 1977 oil change. Book your next appointment online at leahcars.com or just stop by any Leah location at your convenience. No appointment necessary. Visit Leah Toyota, Nissan, Honda, and Hyundai on Central Avenue or Leah Infinity in Latham. Open 7 days a week and online all the time at leahcars.com.
Leah!
Poker is like a war. It's a battle of wits. It's strategy and preparation. Winning is about understanding yourself before the other guy does. Knowledge and skill wins, not luck. For now, put your money aside and challenge your wits. Challenge your skill. Free Poker Network, every Tuesday evening at the Clubhouse Racebook. Welcome to the game.
Welcome back to the Inside Track, Capital OTB on track, right here on trackside. We are at Saratoga, and we had a little bit of a change in schedule. We have an additional guest for you this morning, a familiar face for those of you who watch Capital OTB television and have done so over the years. Welcome to the program, Mark Cassano. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Gene, how are you?
Very
Robert,
good.
how are you?
Excellent, excellent.
Little bit of a, Mark wandered onto the set, so we said, well, let's have Mark come on and tell us a little bit about what he's got coming up for us over the course of the next 7 or so weeks, and obviously, if you've got anything lined up for Saturday.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Down the Stretch, which will be Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We'll be on every Saturday at 10, with the exception of Travers Day, where we'll be on a bit earlier. And I don't have the faintest idea what's going to happen over the next 7 weeks. But as far as Saturday, we've got a couple of very good guests set. We've got Tommy Albertrani, who's going to be sending out So Impressive in the coaching club. And it's kind of interesting because she came into her own in the Mother Goose last time. She behaved herself. She changed leads for the first time in the stretch. But she's only been around 2 turns, I believe, once. That was in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, and she had a little trouble changing leads that day when Grace Hall beat her pretty handily. So we'll talk to Tommy on Saturday morning, and then, and I'm pretty excited about this, we've got Rosie Napravnik also. And I think Rosie's, I don't think meteoric is too much of a stretch. For her to have come from Delaware Park a few years ago to now not only participating in the premier race meet in the country, but riding for some of the top stables. And with Johnny Velasquez sidelined for the time being, she's picking up more of Todd's horses. And you know what? She's got reasonable chances in both stakes on Friday. She rides Jackson Bend in the James Marvin, and then she rides that nice Kenny McPeak filly. Is it Fully Living? You're much younger than I am, so your memory is much better. So Rosie's got a chance to get off to a big start here at Saratoga, and we're looking forward to interviewing her on Saturday as well.
You're a young guy too.
Thank you,
Robert.
You're my favorite. Yes.
Yeah.
How excited are you still at this age? Becoming here so many years, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry.
I know.
How excited are you still to be coming here to Saratoga for opening day?
It's exciting, Robert. It really is. I've been coming here since my dad first took me, probably slightly better than 50 years ago. And obviously it's changed a great deal. You know, it was 24 days in that era, and there's a lot to be said for a 24-day meet. But this is the finest quality racing in the country. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's the best racing. We've got the top riders and trainers, and you know, for those of us in the media who have a show, and interviews are a big portion of the show, where else would you rather be than Saratoga? I mean, we live in a wonderful area, basically from May through October. Gene knows how much I like winter, but they're minor league sports for the most part. You know, even the Division I basketball is, you know, we're not talking about the Atlantic Coast Conference, but this is as good as it gets. This is top of the line. This is major league. And if you can't get psyched up for Saratoga, I guess it's time you do something else.
That's absolutely true, and I just happened to pull up the Schuylerville, and it looks like there's a very good chance that Rosie, who I'm sure you're very excited to have because of her riding skills,
yes.
But the fact that she is a very attractive young lady probably doesn't hurt in terms of your interest in having her on the show.
That's never been first and foremost, but that doesn't hurt. But she is very talented.
Yes, she is. She most certainly is.
That's a heck of a race.
It is
wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of those fillies can win that. And Kenny's filly only won by, what was the official margin of victory?
Oh, she won by officially a half a length in her debut.
But I liked what I saw. She was inside under pressure. The Pletcher filly, who's in there tomorrow, was pressing her outside. Yep. Rosie held her position inside and was actually under a hand ride, edging away at the end. Her maiden victory was not as impressive on paper as some of the others, but watching the replays visually, I liked what I saw. And Gene, I mean, I've told our audience now for years, Rosie just seems to get horses run for her. You know, I know that's not terribly technical, but they run for her. And I'm looking forward to that. So Tommy Albertrani, Rosie Napravnik, and we will get one more guest for Saturday mornings down the stretch at 10 o'clock.
Terrific. And as soon as I know who that guest is, I'll be sure to make sure I spread the word here on the program.
I'll put it on Twitter.
And we'll put it on Twitter.
Twitter?
It's okay. We'll tell you all about Twitter when we go to our next break. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us this morning. And in the meantime, Robert, you can start explaining Twitter to Mark. We are going to pause for one more brief message. When we return, we'll be joined by Matt Musiker, who is the jock's agent for not only Javier Castellano, but Rosie Napravnik here at Saratoga. Please stay tuned.
Listen to what people are saying about the Clubhouse Racebook.
We're just delighted here with the new teletheater. We've been very big sponsors of OTV for the last 2 or 3 years with our program, and we just think this is the best new facility nationwide. I mean, the sky's the limit now for New York. We're supporting you all the way, and we're just happy. Come up, watch the races. I think everybody in the Capital District is cheating themselves if they don't come up and see the facilities.
What would another ShopRite mean for you?
It means more chef-prepared meals to take home and call my own.
Another place to get help with healthy eating.
And another place to get fresh fish.
Another ShopRite in the Capital District, 709 Central Avenue. Another ShopRite. That means more chef-prepared meals, another dietitian, and more fresh produce. Get more choices and even more savings with ShopRite's growing family.
We're all about food. We're all about savings. We're all about you.
Leah Auto Group, going miles above the rest. When your car needs service, Leah has you covered. We offer daily service specials, including our 1977 oil change. Book your next appointment online at leahcars.com or just stop by any Leah location at your convenience. No appointment necessary. Visit Leah Toyota, Nissan, Honda, and Hyundai on Central Avenue or Leah Infinity in Latham. Open 7 days a week and online all the time at leahcars.com.
Leah!
Poker is like a war. It's a battle of wits. It's strategy and preparation. Winning is about understanding yourself before the other guy does. Knowledge and skill wins, not luck. For now, Put your money aside and challenge your wits. Challenge your skill. Free Poker Network, every Tuesday evening at the Clubhouse Racebook. Welcome to the game.
Welcome back to Capital OTB's Inside Track. I'm Jean Wood. We are joined now by our fourth special guest of the morning. We've got a jocks agent who's probably going to be one of the busy guys around here, although shouldn't have too much trouble getting his riders on mounts. Welcome to the program, Matt Musiker. How are you, Matt? Good to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
And you're obviously looking at potentially a really big meet as an agent up here with Rosie and with Javier.
Yeah, so far business seems very good, and down the road and later in the meet, it seems that there's a lot of things for us to look forward to.
It's hard to beat the firepower you've got in terms of the riders right now. I mean, Javier has been absolutely. I honestly, going back to probably last winter time, a year and a half ago, 18 months.
Right.
I just don't think I've seen a rider day in and day out ride as well. And now we've got the introduction of Rosie Napravnik into New York, and I think she is really sitting on a big meet.
Well, I think first I'll start with Rosie. I think Rosie complements this riding colony like no other addition. I mean, she's first of all a great personality. She's smart. She has charisma, and obviously she's a talented rider, and she's young, so she's a fresh new face and brings a lot to the table for trainers and owners, and as far as the variety goes with riders in this colony. Javier, he's been on a tremendous run for at least 2 years, maybe more, maybe longer, and he's a great guy. He's smart, and he knows he's a hard worker. He's a studier. He's a perfectionist, like as well as I am. So, I mean, I think that Javier and I make a great team, and Javier welcomes the addition to our team with Rosie, and to my team, I should say, and it's perfect. It's really a great relationship, and everything's fallen into place for a strong Saratoga meet.
And
Matt, a lot of our viewers, very big horse racing fans, maybe don't know some of the workings behind the scenes. Let's just take you through a hypothetical. Horse X is running for trainer X, and you want one of your jockeys on that horse. Take us through the process a little bit.
Well, first and foremost, I either call, show up, text. I'm a big texter, but you don't have to talk. A trainer can be watching his horse and still answer the text or whatever the case may be. But that's me. That's my way. But I'll text and show the interest and let them know that we're interested, and then we'll have dialogue maybe later in the day or the next morning, or I'll see them and we can go from there. Usually it's not a right away thing, especially with higher class caliber horses. It's not an instant thing. Sometimes with the lower level horses, yeah, it's okay, that's fine, good. I would prefer to have Rosie or Javier, and I'd say, well, this one's not open or that one's open or whatever. But it's, as I've said before, I'm more of an aggressor as far as I initiate the interest in riding that horse most of the time. That's just me. I don't like to sit back. Just not my temperament. And I like to go after what I feel as though will be, one of the choices in the race.
Goes without saying that having Todd Pletcher on your team is a good thing, especially when you're here at Saratoga. He used to be almost exclusively with John Velasquez. Now Javier's riding a lot of his horses.
Correct.
Talk about the boost that just gives you having Todd Pletcher behind you.
He's the cake and everybody else is the frosting, right? So, but I like just cake. That's okay with me. But Todd, you can't say enough positive things and good things about Todd, and everybody already knows, all those things that you're going to say. But yes, definitely, when you have him, he makes me sleep a lot better at night. And I'm sure the same goes for Javier and Rosie. But, also, Chad Brown, Dominic Galluccio, George Weaver, it goes on and on. But, somebody like Chad, too, a young up-and-coming trainer and has a ton of horses. And, he's between him and Todd, there's probably about 300, 325 horses that we ride a good majority of. And it's a good position. I'm thankful. and appreciative to both those guys for the opportunities that they allow me and my riders, and I'm lucky, I'm thankful, but I certainly don't rest on that. It's just not my makeup, so it's a great position, and as you know, I mean, they were both 1-2 last year, so going into this meet with those two guys, it gives me a lot of confidence as far as looking down the road and where we'll be, come Labor Day.
I have a question about now tomorrow. I'll kind of tip my hand. I've obviously already handicapped tomorrow's card because I've got to have it submitted for our tip sheet that Capital OTB does. But I pretty much have got you in the exacta in both of the stakes races tomorrow. So now I don't know if you consider that a blessing or a curse.
I do. We'll
see how it goes. But Rosie's picking up the mount on Jackson Ben. I've been a fan of Jackson Ben since he was a 2-year-old down in Florida. I followed his career right through when they pushed him towards the classics and so on and so forth, back and forth from Stanley Gold to Nick Zito and then back and so forth. How'd you end up landing that mount? Because he is really just a super professional racehorse.
Well, I mean, it's really Mr. LaPenta and Nick, taking and Mr. LaPenta's racing manager, taking a liking to Rosie and having trust in her. And I mean, Nick, as you know, we ride Falcon Fest, so for him as well. And as you can see, even the cheaper horses that Nick has, he's given Rosie the leg up there. So obviously, Nick has a lot of faith in her and getting the job done. But as far as the Jackson Ben situation went about is when Corey shifted his tack to the West Coast, I had, let my interest be known. I was already committed with Javier, with Kayaxa, especially after winning the race on Belmont Day, and I had made our intentions clear to Nick and to John, Mr. LaPenta's racing manager, and it was between Rosie and a couple other riders, and Nick came back to me and said, we like what Rosie's doing, and we appreciate having her on Jackson.
And as I'm looking down at the form, I'm noticing between last year and this year with Rosie and Nick winning at a 29% clip. So obviously
that has something to do with that, yes.
Things are good there, and I have you in the exacta because, as you mentioned, Caixa Electronica, who's such a nice old horse for Todd.
He's unbelievable, that horse. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it matters the surface, distance. I mean, he's just amazing. Those type of horses are.
Even the weight, if I'm not mistaken, last year he carried a real high weight in that race. Yeah, well, he did that, and he also carried up here in the slop. He carried 127 pounds in one up here.
That horse is amazing. I mean, those.
He is a cash machine.
If a horse like that doesn't make you appreciate this game, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and in the other stake, the Schuylerville, I've got you in the exacta as well. You got a pickup mount on a horse in from Parks for Tony Dautro.
But the one thing I do know is that Tony isn't a guy that looks for a rider too well in advance. He was looking for a rider well in advance, and he's high on this filly, really likes this filly, and what I know about her is what Tony tells me, and he's high on her, so I'm high on her, and I think that the post position it helps, and I think that in regard to the Kenny McBeat filly that Rosie's on, Rosie's worked her at least 3 times since she broke her maiden. And I know Rosie and Kenny and Lars, Kenny McPeak's assistant at Belmont, that are very high on her. So I think your exacta is right on, as far as I know.
And Matt, before we let you go, this is a special meet for you. Not only are you a jockey agent for Castellano and Napravnik, but you're a Saratoga Springs native.
That's right.
You played basketball at Saratoga High. Are you going to see some family here and head back over, shoot some hoops there?
Yeah, I did go back the other day to my sister's house, and I did take a couple jump shots. I won't say if I hit them or not, but the thing is, around here, I know pretty much everybody growing up here, and my family's lived here. My mom and dad have passed, but my sister lives here and her family, and they live in the house that I grew up in. So, and that's right out the back gate behind Shug McGahee's barn. So. This is home. It'll always be home, and it's a beautiful town, so how can you not enjoy it? Plus, the people are great, so that just makes it that much better.
It's certainly always a pleasure for us to return to Saratoga. I'm
That's
sure
right.
it is for you as well, especially when you're potentially sitting on as big a meeting as you are.
I hope so. I hope so.
We wish you all the best of luck, and the best of luck as well to both Javier and to Rosie as well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Matt. We certainly
Thank you. I
do
appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Matt Musiker, who is the Jock's agent, who is handling both Rosie Napravnik and Javier Castellano.
We're scheduled to have Javier on tomorrow morning on the same show.
That's right. I had forgotten about that. That's true. We're gonna have Javier, and hopefully we'll be able to follow up on those stakes races and add to his list of accomplishments. And as we go into this weekend, so we've got a lot more coming up over the course of the next 7 weeks here at Saratoga. All of our programming from the spot should be a great meet here at Saratoga as we get into the thick of things with opening day at Saratoga tomorrow. Thank you for joining us here on the Inside Track for Capital OTB's Trackside Studio in Saratoga Springs. We've got Handicappers Report coming up next.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.